Me doing on.
Start it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 43 of the Tait Talks podcast. I'm your host, Tait Middleton. Today, I have been invited into the lovely Joe White's home. How are you, Joe?
Good, Tate. Thank you for having me. It's
No.
also me mama's house.
I'll give her props.
Yeah, man.
Tell her thank you when you see her.
Tell her how I'll say Mum Tate came over and he said, "Put your house is dirty."
She'll be like, what the fuck is a Tait?
Yeah.
It will be her.
Did you say tit?
Yeah.
No, Tate.
We had tits over.
No, you had girls over. You said tit.
You're a professional comedian.
I like to think so.
You are a full-blown 9 to 5
Oh, thank God.
non-worker, and then at night a comedian.
I thought you were gonna say full blown alcoholic. I would be like, Tate.
Isn't it?
No. Yeah, a lot of comedians are, I guess. No,
Yeah.
not full blown, but we're at clubs and bars almost every night. And even if you're not an alcoholic or you're not a big drinker, you have one a night. Before you know it, 7 days later,
Yeah,
you've had
true.
7.
Yeah, that does rack up pretty quick, actually.
Yeah.
Be careful with that. You were born in Sudan.
Sudan, exactly. Yeah, a lot of people think I was born in Ethiopia. Maybe it's something that I'm saying or doing or putting out there to make them think that. But I am Ethiopian, so my mom and dad are Ethiopian. Maybe
Yep.
that's why. But they left Ethiopia to Sudan, and then they had me in Sudan. So I'm Ethiopian, born in Sudan, living in Perth now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Sudan.
Yeah,
What?
until the age of 11. So I got
Yep.
to Perth, Australia, when I was 11 years old with my single mum and six of us.
Yep.
So 5 siblings, 3 boys, 3 girls. I'm a twin.
Oh.
Yeah, did you know?
No, I did
Oh,
not
yeah.
know that.
Yeah, I'm a twin.
Yeah,
she's
is he funny?
It's
she?
a she. Yeah,
Is she
she's.
funny?
I wish it was a he.
Just double up. Can't be bothered doing this gig tonight. Get up there.
But I wish it was identical he. It would be
Yeah.
awesome. But it's a she. Personality equally as vibrant and talkative and social.
Yeah.
But yeah, she lives in Melbourne. She's moved to Melbourne, and I'm in Perth. But yeah, we came here came to Perth, Australia as refugees in 1998.
Yep.
And man, it was just incredible because before we came to Australia, especially Perth, Australia, we used to be homeless, living on the streets, eating out of bins to survive.
Oh.
And it was my mom, as a single mom in Sudan, especially when you're not Sudanese, you're Ethiopian. So we did experience racism just because we were Ethiopians in Sudan.
Yeah.
And then you're living under Sharia law as well, which is very strict on the females.
Is that full on is that burqa and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, you got to be covered up and
Yeah.
everything in Sudan, and to be a single mom as well, that in itself puts you pretty much at the bottom. So
Yeah.
when you're poor and you're a female and you're a single female with kids
And Ethiopian.
and Ethiopian, it's like people look at you like, what did you do in your past life that you're here right now? No one really. Well, some people go, oh, they're so kind and they help out, but
Yeah.
that's what our situation was. And then my mom applied for a United Nations refugee humanitarian visa to get out of the situation we're at, to go to any other country to get us out of there.
Yeah.
And we were approved with 7 other visas to get out of Sudan to go to other countries, but our visas, we kept getting told that we failed when we went to the office.
Oh.
Yeah, and my mom said it's because there was so much corruption that it was getting sold.
Oh, really?
Our visas were getting sold. So I'm like, you trying to tell me we could have left a lot sooner?
Jeez.
She's like, yeah, it just kept getting sold. So then we finally, I think my mom put in a complaint, and people really wanted to know what's going on with this lady and her kids. How come they haven't been helped yet? And our situation was quite dire. It's like if they don't do something right now, we're gonna die pretty much.
Yeah.
So then a visa for Australia came through, and my mom was like, "This is it. If we don't pass this we had to go to a questionnaire, or we had to go to a meeting, and one of the representatives for the UN will ask you questions, and then they'll either stamp yes, you can go to Australia, or they'll say no, denied, or there's a third option where they send you to your country of birth, not country of birth, they send you to your country.
Yeah.
So if you're Ethiopian, they'll send you back to Ethiopia. But to us, because we didn't have anyone there, that was pretty much death sentence. So we didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
We wanted to leave Sudan for a better world, and we wanted to go to Australia. And so we went to the interview. My mom's like, "This is it. If we failed, we're screwed."
And you're like 11?
11.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So, but you were
10 turning 11.
So you were saying off air that you grow up pretty quick when you're on the streets and stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
In Sudan.
Yeah, because I find people who ask me like, 11, so do you remember what happened in Sudan? I'm like, dude, when you're 3 years old in Sudan, you're forced to be an adult.
Yeah.
You got to start running errands. You got to start doing jobs around the house. You might even have to like go and start selling stuff like cigarettes or plastic bags individually to try and sort of accumulate a little bit of money and bring that back, give it to your parents or give it to mum to go and buy food or something. So you grow up pretty quick. You have to be aware of your environment very quick. You have to know what's wrong, what to do, what not to do, how to sense danger. When to leave, when to go home quickly.
What type of dangers would be around?
Oh man, you name it, it's there. There's kidnappers. There is people assaulting you and taking your stuff.
Yeah.
Because everyone's in poverty. I think there was a report that came out in 2019 where it showed 40% of Sudan were living under the poverty line, and so it was that's pretty much from what I understood of the report, pretty much nearly half of them were in poverty and just doing it tough, and that was
and that's not like Australian poverty, that's full like like is there like favela type of areas that are just everyone's in the same boat, if that makes sense? Like you see like Brazil, and they all live in those, like, lack of a better word, like shanty type of homemade areas. Is that the same as like Sudan? Like, where did you live, for instance? Like
where we lived, it was a mixture.
Yeah,
it was a mixture of middle class and very poor. So there wasn't really a section where everyone was poor. This was because, remember, when 40% of the population is living in poverty,
it's crazy.
a lot of the areas are poor.
Yeah,
so very rarely do you see parts where that's not poor.
Is there any resentment to the people who are like well off, or just what I mean? Like you see someone in a nicer car or whatever it may be to show that they've got money. Is it people like, fuck those guys, they're rich, you know what I mean? Like even here you kind of see a Lambo, or I do, it's probably just and you'd be like, that motherfucker, a house on wheels type thing. Like over there where you got, like, was there any the poorer people versus the rich people, or they kind of didn't happen like that?
They don't mix. And when they do, it's because you're a domestic worker for them.
Oh,
you know what I mean? It's when you see a rich person, you don't mess with them because you just know they're gonna, like, you're already in the shits poverty wise. If you mess with a rich person, then you don't know who they know that's gonna make you disappear, or who they know that's gonna make your life even worse when you're trying to make it out of that poverty lifestyle. So when we see a rich person, it's usually not hating on them, but just trying to understand how they got what they got and trying to get a job or get them to point you in the right direction, But a lot of the time, the rich people, they're just some evil ones out there, A lot of the time, they want to abuse you, or they want you to work for them, or they'll even take you and sell you. You never know. Yeah.
Wow,
you never know, man. You never know.
So there's just things.
It's like a different world there. It's not
like literally a different world.
It's a different world. I remember there was a time where my mom, we had this couple that came through, and they said, can we please take your daughter, the older daughter, with us, and she gets to be a domestic worker for us, or she gets to babysit, look after our kids because we're very busy.
That's your sister?
That's my older sister, and we'll feed her, we'll clothe her, we'll look after her, and then when you're ready to take her back, you can come and take her back. And mum was like, okay, well, it's better life than what I'm giving her here.
Yeah.
So yeah, no worries, and she'll be educated, blah blah blah. Next thing you know, my mom wasn't hearing back from those people.
Oh.
No one was like returning any of her, no one was returning any of her messages to try and sort of talk to her daughter.
Yeah.
Mom didn't know where they were, so they pretty much did a runner with my older sister.
Really?
Yeah.
This early 90s?
I have no idea. Yeah, because we came in 98,
Yeah,
so
okay.
this would have been early 90s, early 80s, late 80s. My older sister is nearly 40 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my mom pretty much had to leave us with family friends and take off to the neighboring town, from country town to the main city to try and find these people. And the way you would find these people is asking around.
Yeah.
Do you know such and such family who has, such and such Ethiopian girl with them? And so my mom finally found her after many months, right? And when she found her, these people weren't even looking after her. They were treating her like a peasant. They were making her sleep outside. They were feeding her bugger all. She was pretty much their slave,
Yeah.
right? And she just looked battered. And my mom, when she found her, she was just like, you guys are so evil for taking her and then treating her like this.
Do that, yeah.
Yeah. So people are heartless there, especially when they're when they got money.
Yeah.
But then you'll find some that are very rarely, but you'll find ones that are really nice and helpful.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time it's just, man, the humanity disappears when everyone around you is in the shits,
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to survive.
So when you, you're 35 now. So do you have like a sense of sort of, I suppose, if someone's saying something to you that's too good to be true, do you go back to those thoughts of when you were in Sudan and stuff like that and be like, are these evil people pretending to be nice? You know what I mean, did it take a while for you to open up to people and realize not everyone could be doing something dodgy, if given the opportunity?
I'm definitely Sudan experience has definitely impacted me in my ways of how I deal with people and situations in general. I mean, that's almost everyone though, isn't it? How our past experiences play a part in how we conduct ourselves now and and in the future, and the way we process information, the way we interact with people. So Sudan has definitely impacted me, but not necessarily in a negative way, but more so in a way where I'm grateful for the little things. I'm grateful for a roof over my head. I'm grateful for the fact that I can go to work and do what I love doing. I'm grateful for the living standards here. I'm grateful for seeing my siblings and my mom prosper instead of suffer, which is what you constantly saw back in Sudan. It was just like, far out, man. Which one of us is going to die? Who's going to die first? Because our situation is messed up. We're sleeping on the streets at night. People are trying to kidnap us and stuff. And mom's fighting people off. We're fighting people off.
Did you ever get, yourself, ever try to get kidnapped?
Not myself, but some members of my family, like my sisters especially. My older sister especially, someone tried to take her, and then mom would... we would hear screams in the middle of the night. We would wake up because remember, it's just a street. We're sleeping on the streets.
So you're literally on the street.
Yeah, so there's opportunists nearby. They're lurking in the dark, and when it gets dark, it gets pretty bad. And there's cars at night that could easily run you over if you're not careful. So you had to make sure. So at night, I remember when I'm asleep, cars would come past, and you'd think they're so close, you'd wake up. And then some nights, we'd wake up because mom would try to find where my brother is, because my older brother used to sleepwalk a lot. So he would sleepwalk to the park, and mom would be like, no, she'll bring him back at night. And then there is like men trying to kidnap my sisters. So mom didn't know what to do, man. She's like, how do I keep this kid safe?
You got five kids.
Six all up. So
Jeez.
what she used to do, Tait, was she used to tie, she bought rope and using clothing and all that. She would tie 3 to her torso to her left side, and the other 3 to her torso on the right side. And she would pretty much just sleep or try to stay up. But then when she falls asleep, at least when people tries to take us or my older brother tries to sleepwalk, this rope works as like a defense mechanism. Like it's a security. And she just it wakes us up, and we'll just go, ooh.
Get back here.
And it worked plenty of times. Where now here, we don't have to worry about any of that. You know,
you just
got security alarm. Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
good.
yeah.
You can go to bed. The alarm will beep if
The
anyone.
lock on your door in the
Yeah.
house. Like,
Oh, you got
yeah,
a door? Yeah.
you got a
You could,
door.
you could hear someone try to break in. You go, oh, glass is shattering.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to get me.
Yeah. That world is insane for someone like me. That just it does not compute. Like
Yeah.
that is just so far removed from like being born in Australia, and not a like country town type thing, but like that shit just didn't happen. Like I lived in the same house my whole life and stuff like that. So you on the street, people trying to fucking steal your sisters, and like having to tie them with rope so your brother didn't walk into the bloody park and stuff is insane. But that was your life. Like,
Yeah.
do you sit back now, you know, we're sitting in a nice house with air conditioning on.
Yeah.
Do you ever just have that feeling that you're like, wow, I'm so lucky?
Yeah, 100%. And I have to actively think about that.
Yeah.
Right? I go, wow, you know, not long ago I was in Sudan under these conditions. Now I'm here because it's human nature that we forget, right?
Yeah.
And we adapt to our new way of life. So a lot of the time, we would catch ourselves out, especially me and mum. We're very close. We have a very good relationship. And people ask, you know, sometimes why I love my mum, or, oh, you always brag on about how much you love your mum. But I'm like, yeah, but it's because I do. Like,
You'd be like, listen to this fucking podcast.
yeah,
My mum's a hero.
yeah. Oh,
She's a saint.
dude,
She's a saint.
you know,
It's crazy.
a lot of the stuff on my socials, comedy wise and stuff like a lot of it that's real. That comes directly from my heart is my relationship with my mum.
Yep.
You know, like that's real because I was there. I've seen what she went through. I've seen how much she had to fight and endure and push through and believe, you know, and then she has to believe so we can believe. Otherwise, we're like, oh, we're screwed. If this person is looking after us has lost faith, we're screwed. And a lot of parents have lost faith, you know, and to the point where they got put into psych wards and their kids are, you know, dead on the streets or raped or taken, sold into whatever industry. Where mum was like,
what industries would be like that?
domestic is definitely a big one. That in itself is modern day slavery. You know, if you read statistics, modern day slavery slavery exists, but in a different form. To the point where domestic workers, back especially in Africa and the Middle East, some of them don't even get paid.
Yeah, so you literally just at someone's house, wherever, or factory, just doing manual labor or cleaning or whatever, and you're just doing it every day for nothing. You might get some food so they keep you alive.
Yeah, in some places they take your passport so you can't even go. They lure you with a work opportunity. As soon as you go there, they take your passport and it's like, you work for us now, and if you say anything, we will tell the authorities that we don't want to sponsor you anymore, and you have to go back to your poverty life.
Yeah.
You'd rather stay in this place.
Yeah.
At least you got a roof over your head and they're feeding you and keeping you alive, you know. But mum's been through a lot, and so here
Sounds like it.
Yeah, here now, you know, she plays the lotto. And then when she doesn't win, she's like, oh, I didn't win. And I'm like, man,
you won.
Sit down. Let me tell you what happened to us. As if she wasn't there.
Which is good that she's in the present now, and she's not enjoying that type of life that she has now, and not reliving in my mind, it's bad to say, but it sounds terrible. It honestly sounds terrible. I've never experienced anything like that, but it was your way of life. And I assume your mum's way of life for a long time. Like, you got to get out when you were 10, 11.
Yeah.
You know, I assume your mum's, you know.
Dude, my mom's life.
Yeah.
You know, if you thought my life was bad, my mom's life was 100 times worse.
Yeah.
I think she lost her mum when her mum died to poisoning or illness when my mum was like 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
And mum's dad had 2 wives,
Oh.
but they didn't know about each other.
Oh.
So when her mum died, my dad took mum to his other wife, who had 5 or 6 of her own kids with him.
Yeah.
Who wasn't fond of my mum, so she pretty much treated her the way Cinderella was treated, you know, where made her sleep outside, clean after everyone, eat leftovers, didn't shower her nothing, and just beat her up all the time. And mum hated it, and mum ran away when she was like maybe 10 or 11. She ran away from a country town to the main city
Yeah.
to try and get out of Ethiopia to go to a foreign land for a better life.
Yeah.
And for a young girl like that, along the way, a lot happened to my mom. She suffered a lot. But here she is. She never gave up, man. And here she is, 6 kids living in Australia. So her dream of believing that she's going to go to a foreign land where her kids are going to have a better life, better opportunity.
Yeah, you tell jokes for a living.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, he's a jokester. Like, what the fuck?
And
like,
half of it is about her, man.
Yeah.
But it's because I want to share her story, man.
Yeah.
If you heard my jokes, it's like, there's punchlines at the end that make it funny. But ultimately, the premise is the bitter truth about what happened to us and where we came from.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, it's about the trials and tribulations of my mom. But a lot of the time, it's sharing her story, how she overcome it, and why she's so strong, resilient, and everything that a mom should be, I reckon.
Yeah.
She's,
by far. Like, for tenfold.
but I have punchlines in there.
Because
Because no one wants to hear your shit if it's not funny.
Yeah. You're just doing like a weird TED talk.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, this is the worst.
Yeah. Which some people do for some weird reason in stand-up.
That's true.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is... yeah, you've blown me away with like the life that you used to have. Like, obviously I know you as this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I met you a couple of months ago type thing, doing on the same stand-up fucking build. But yeah, never realised that there was... where you came from was like the streets, essentially.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting if how many people would know that, like here, in let's say the comedy scene.
Yeah.
Do you chat to people openly about it when people say like, "Oh, this sucked"? Are you ever just be like, "Mate, I'll tell you what fucking sucked. Living on the street."
You know what? Not in that way.
Yeah.
Not in the... like, if someone tells me something sucks in their life and stuff, I always hear them out and I go, oh yeah, and I try to give them advice where I can, or just sometimes you just need to hear people out. You don't need to give them advice, You just need to let them vent. But then when people ask me for my story, I do share with them. But also it's like, it's very personal to me. So I don't just share it with with everyone and anyone.
Just on the podcast.
I share it with people who genuinely want to know.
Yeah.
Who genuinely want to know. And I do it not to compare, but I do it more so to inspire, more so to help you understand that although I, smile and, I could be clean cut or, articulate in a way where you deem me to be educated or not, that's my story, and that there is plenty of Africans out there who have actually gone through... This is a very common story.
Yes.
Like my story is not rare. There's a lot of my friends have had the same journey, but they're not as outspoken about it because they're not in the field that I'm at, which is obviously on stage talking about my life.
Your job is talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But more so, they're not ready to,
Okay.
because I guess you need therapy as well, and comedy is therapy for us. So when I do share it on stage, it helps me deal with what happened.
Yes.
So for them, it's like, it's very personal. They need proper therapy. They're not ready to publicly share it with everyone. They keep it, but then when you see them and they're angry or, they're quick to get angry or they're very quiet and withdrawn, then it's because, they could have the same story as Joe, but they're not ready to share with me. But it will make you a bit more understanding because you've had the time to listen to my story.
Yes.
So in a way, it's creating awareness.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have many friends back in Sudan that you chat to?
No friends.
No friends, okay.
No friends back in Sudan.
Nah.
There's one man and his family that I help.
Yep.
And that's purely because when we were homeless and sleeping outside the church, going through bins, trying to find food and stuff, this man used to help us. So he would literally he'll be in the church. They'll give him all the food, and they'll say, "Throw this food out. Don't give it to the homeless people." He would go, "Okay, no worries." He'd put it in plastic rubbish bags, and he'll pretend he's gonna throw it out.
Oh, so it's
And
not
then-
damaged.
Yeah, and then he'll come around and he'll be like, "Hey boys, girls, come here quick, come eat," and we'll just like, he'll open it up and it's all this food and we'll just smash it down quickly, and then we'll look at him and I'll look at him, I'll be like, "Man, this guy is cool,
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, "Mom, his name is Futsum." I'll be like, "Mom, Futsum came through and he gave us food," and she's like, "Oh, bless him, he's so nice." Meanwhile, Mum's in the market trying to find somewhere to feed us, somehow to feed
Yeah.
us, trying to sell tea. She used to sell tea just to anyone who wants to pay her for tea. She would just pour it and she'll give it to them with sugar. And he used to do that. So I've never forgotten that.
Yes.
And then him and Mum got talking and stuff. And then he invited us and Mum to his house to meet his wife and kids.
Yeah.
And they were very lovely. And then eventually he became like our family friend.
Yes.
And he was helping us where he could. But even he was in poverty himself. He made me the godfather to his son. Yeah. And then when we came here, we lost contact for like 12 years. And then I asked around, finally found him, and then I started sending him money to help him. I think the first time I found him after 12 years, we were so happy. I sent him like $1,000 or $1,500.
Yeah.
Um,
How far would that go in?
oh, mate,
Sudan?
it's a lot, man. I
Yeah.
think he couldn't earn that work in a whole bloody year,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, he was quite happy. And then now it's a regular, but not that much. Just like let him know. Money doesn't grow on trees here as well.
like,
'Cause
Joe's doing it tough sometimes too. Right?
I'm a comedian, man. I gotta pay for shit too here, So I help him, but
Yeah.
I don't have any family or friends that I'm close with that I talk to on the regular or anything like that.
What about, can I ask where your dad is?
So Dad left the family when I was about 5 years old.
Yep.
And he is an alcoholic. And a lot of the times he would come home drunk. He would abuse my mom. He would hit us. And I think the final straw was one day he came home drunk around probably 3 a.m. or something.
Yep.
Heavily intoxicated. He was very violent, very aggressive. We were asleep and he woke us up because mom was screaming. And we woke up to him chasing her around with a bloody machete, with sword, whatever you want to call it. And then my older brother quickly ran out, called the neighbors to help. Neighbors called the cops. Cops came, kicked the door down, took him away. Never saw him again. And I was probably about the 5-6 years old.
Yeah.
But when I said my dad was an alcoholic, he was to the point where he would look at me and be like, "You're a man now. You're coming with me." And I'll go with him, and I'll come home drunk.
Oh, really?
And I would have been, 4 years old. Yeah, I'd come home full-blown drunk, and I don't know what's going on. I'll just start crying and pissing everywhere. And Mum will be like, "No, my son, what have you done to him?" And he's like, "He's a man now." He used to this is how gruesome my dad was. He used to be, to me and my older brother, he'd be like, "You boys are men now. Here's a knife each." And he would give us a knife. And then he'd be like, "All right, go to your beds and sleep." And then we would look at our beds and we're like, "Where are they?" He's like, "Your beds are outside." And we're like, "What do you mean outside?" They're outside the house.
Yeah.
So we would sleep outside with a knife each, and we're playing guard pretty much in case anyone tries to break in and steal our stuff, which was very common, where people would jump the fence and try to steal your animals. So Dad, like sheeps and lambs, so Dad would make us sleep outside with knives to try and protect the house and stuff.
And you were like 3 and 5 or something.
Man, we were around that age. Yeah, we were probably about the 5-6 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, Dad's just.
Did you ever have anyone jump the fence and be like?
Yeah, we've had a couple, but not when me and my brother were outside. Usually, when Dad's outside, or when Dad's with us, or when we're inside and someone jumps over, Dad usually catches them and he ties them up.
Oh.
Yeah, ties them up, belts them. The neighbors come, they belt them, and then you let them go. Or you give them to the cops.
Fun.
Yeah, or you give them to the cops.
TV, you just fucking, all right, you've had your fun.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And our toilets system was a hole on the ground, and you just get to sit on it, and you poo, and it goes down to this massive hole at the bottom.
Yeah.
But one time we had one of our lambs, and one of them fell in, and we could hear it going from all the way at the bottom. And so Dad was like, "There's no way we're gonna lose that because that's quality meat."
Yeah.
So he tied himself to a pole or something, and then just lowered himself down into like a pile of goo, got the lamb, and just pulled himself back out again. So he was a hard man. He was a strong
he
man
just-
too.
Yeah, it was interesting that like obviously you've said you were poor, but like how would he afford alcohol?
Okay, so before it all went to shits, right?
Yep.
Before it all went to shits, my mom and my dad, they had a huge hut that we lived in. Huge hut. It's like a house, but it's just a hut.
Yeah.
And we had, my mom had jewelry. We had beautiful furniture. We even had a maid working for us.
Oh.
We had animals, lambs. My dad was a hard worker. And then one of the maids accidentally, I don't know how, burnt the house down.
Oh.
A fire started, burnt everything. The only thing my mom could save was the kids.
Yep.
So my dad had to start all over again.
So there's no insurance, obviously.
No insurance.
That doesn't
No.
exist.
No.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Yeah, I've lost 2 goats. So there was no insurance. And he lost everything. She was just like, I'm sorry. And he's like, well, what can we do? And that drove him into alcoholism.
Okay. Yeah.
So then he started spending all his money, more money spent,
Yeah.
sold things to get more alcohol, became abusive,
Yeah.
blamed everyone except, I guess, himself.
Yeah.
And then when he left, everything would turn to even more shit. And then my mom is like, we have to get out of this country. So she sold everything.
Yeah.
And whatever money she had left, we went to the capital city of Sudan, which is Khartoum.
Yep.
And we lived in someone's veranda for a little bit, and then we couldn't afford it anymore, so then we became homeless.
Okay.
And then we did that for nearly 2 years. And then in the process of all of that, my mom was going back and forth with the United Nations to try and sort of get attention on our case.
Yeah.
People would, help us where they can and stuff. And then eventually we hit the jackpot when we got that stamp of approval.
Yeah.
But man, I remember my mom is like, I've had enough. This is it. We're going to go to this interview. And if we don't get accepted, I'm going to kill myself. That's how serious it got.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, we need a miracle. You have to do something. So we're just like, oh shit, this must be serious then.
Yeah.
You know?
Like 10.
Like I say, you grow pretty quick.
Yeah.
And we went to this interview and the guy said, oh, we'll just send you to Ethiopia. And then my mom's like, no, we want to go to Australia.
Why Australia? Like how's that
I don't think she chose.
Okay, yeah.
I think
just a
that was just the visa
Oh, sweet.
for. Because, a lot of the Western countries, they have humanitarian intakes.
Yes, yeah.
So ours was a visa for Australia. And mom's just... And the guy said, no, we'll send you... It makes sense to send you to your country. And so we all started crying. Mom started crying. And then my brother's like, please, you have to send us... can't send us to Ethiopia. You have to send us out of this country.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother started telling him everything that's happened to us. All the suffering that we've experienced. And even the guy that's supposed to approve the visa, he started crying. And then he eventually stamped our visa for Australia. And that's how we came to Perth.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy that you had to like go and do that. Like you go to the humanitarian aid or whatever it was and be like, this is our story.
Yeah.
Is it good enough to get us out of here? It's like a crazy game show.
Yeah.
You know,
Man, you don't go, is it good enough? You just go, this is our story. We need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Please, 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 please. They're like, fine. You guys can go. Because a lot of people are in that situation.
Yeah.
So for you
that's
to
the
get
hard
chosen,
thing. Yeah.
that's like winning the lotto, man.
It is. It'd be interesting to find out what the statistics are for actually being able to get out and get to like, another, lack of a better, like, what do they call it now? I was going to say first world country, but I don't think what do they call them? Developed country, I think it's supposed
Developed,
to.
yeah. Underdeveloped and developed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I do remember some families that were in the same situation as us. And then you ask mum, oh, what happened to such and such family? And she'll go, oh, the mum died. And then, no one knows what happened to the kids. Or she'll be like, oh, those family managed to get out. They're in Holland now.
Oh.
And you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
But not everyone has that story of being able to get out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy. And I remember there was a time when we were on the streets, there was people that came and said to my mum, why don't we put your kids in this boarding school? We will look after them. You can visit them anytime you want. It gives you plenty of time to get yourself a house, a job, and then you can take them back. And mum's like, oh, this is great. Gave us up to this school. Next thing you know, the school's like doing everything that they said they won't do. So they're like physically, they're abusing us. They're belting us. If they're not feeding us the way they're supposed to. They made us sleep outside. What's with this sleeping outside?
Yeah,
they made us sleep outside.
You must hate camping now. You must say, fuck this shit.
Hate it. Whenever someone says, let's go camp and sleep outside, I'm like, you know the Simpson episodes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the school started doing all that. And when we slept outside, we pee in the bed, like we urinate on the bed because you're so scared, right?
Yeah.
And then what happened was, the headmaster would come and be like, who did this? And so whose bed is this? Oh, it's such and such bed. They go, okay, you come to the office. You go to the office. They'll make you urinate in a cup or a bowl, and they'll make you drink your own urine as a form of punishment. And on top of that, you'll get belted, and So that was us in that boarding school.
Fuck, how long were you there for?
Probably 6 months, 7 months. And then we told mum, and then mum was like, going, this is bullshit. They shouldn't be doing this, and they should try to get us out.
Yeah.
And then as a punishment for her putting in a complaint and trying to get us out, they banned her from coming to see us, so she couldn't come see us. So for a long time there, we were hugging mum through a fence because we're like, mum, why can't you come in? And she's like, oh, I can't come in, but I'll get you guys soon. And we're like, oh, that's weird. Usually you come in, but they wouldn't let her in anymore. Then finally she got help, and she cried and pleaded with people, and finally she managed to get us out.
Jeez.
But she never gave up, man.
Yeah.
She never gave up. On the streets, people trying to kidnap us. Mum's like, nah, I'm keeping them close.
Yeah.
You guys stay here. All we did was eat, shit, sleep, create problems for her, right? She never gave up. A lot of parents would have said, nah, to hell with this.
Yeah. At least got rid of a couple of you.
Yeah, at least a couple. I was hoping she'll get rid of my brother, Every time me and him had a fight, I'm like, come on, Mum, this is the time.
Yeah. How about you get taken to the bad neighborhood? Kidnapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she never gave up, man. That's what I love about my mum. Very resilient. And in my comedy, there's a bit where I talk about at the immigration line when this guy pushed my brother. I just recently posted it on my Instagram
yes,
page.
I've seen that one.
Where
grabbed him.
She grabbed him by the balls and got him out of the immigration line. And then she's like, don't ever touch my children. And then she's like, okay, when I let him go, we will run, guys. True story.
Yeah.
Not
so
even
immigration line in
Sudan.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not even making that up, Tait. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's the joke is, that's what my mum, this is our story. This is what my mum did when we were lining up. And this is a story of a tiny woman taking on this giant of a man. Usually it's like, oh, dad's supposed to fight this guy because dad's a guy.
Yeah, yeah.
But because dad's not around, she's doing his job as well.
Yeah.
But the way she's demolishing this man is by squeezing his balls so hard to the point where he's like screaming for help. No one would help him because they're like, dude, you messed with her kids,
Yeah, yeah. You've done something wrong, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck.
That's my mom, man.
Yeah. Just a tough lady.
Very tough lady.
Tough and caring by the sounds of it.
Oh my God, full of love. If she walks in right now and sees her, she'll go, hello, my son. How are you?
Just jumps on the podcast.
Yeah. She'll just be like, thank you for coming to my house.
How's it? So when you were... All right, so you're in Sudan. Obviously, you did a bit of education, I assume, at the boarding school. But other than that, like, what do you... how are you learning stuff?
Well, I went to Gerwin High School. Does that count? It's a rough school.
It's rough.
Yeah. It's rough
but
school.
Here.
I didn't go to uni or anything. I just completed year 12. And then I went into...
Sorry, I meant in Sudan. So how are you... Well, when you're that young from 5 to 11 or whenever you left...
Yeah.
Kids go to school and stuff?
I think we started getting education around the age of probably 6, 7.
Yeah.
Some form of education, which is you go to a place and it's like A, B, C,
okay.
D. You learn the alphabet.
Yeah.
That's all you learn.
Speak English in Sudan?
No.
No.
I didn't speak English. There were people that spoke.
Yeah.
But all I knew was this is chair. This is spoon.
Yeah.
This is, like that. And then...
So what's the language? Sudanese? Is that the language?
Arabic.
Arabic.
So Sudanese the people are Sudanese. They spoke Arabic.
Yeah.
Now you have North and South Sudan, so I'm from the North. I used to speak Arabic fluent when I came here. That was pretty much my dominant language.
Yeah.
And then I spoke my dad's language, which was Tigrinya. Then I spoke my mom's language, which was Amharic. And then Arabic was the language I learnt because we were born in Sudan.
Mm-hmm.
Then we came here and I picked up English. And then I completely forgot Arabic. Or maybe I speak at 10% now.
Yeah.
And then Amharic and Tigrinya, which is my mum and dad language, I still speak them about 50%.
So your mum speaks to you in that?
Man, when I speak to my mum, I speak to her in like 3 languages.
Oh, really? Just
English, Amharic, and Tigrinya.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's she responds with one of them, but yeah, when we speak in many languages. So I worked in a lot of my education comes from reading books and just self-teaching myself, you know.
Yeah.
And then also just reading a lot of books and hanging out with, I don't know. I listen to a lot of self-help audio. Does that count?
Yeah.
Some of the words they use in there I have to Google.
Yeah.
Which means I'm learning a new word each time. So I include that in my vocab, you know?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Then I used to work in banking as well before comedy, so that was cool.
Yeah.
I worked as a home loan manager, so I wrote home loans and shit.
Yeah.
And then I did 1 gig of stand-up comedy, and I was like, what is this new feeling? You know what? When you're hooked, man.
Yeah, it's odd. It's just like, I'm now an attention whore.
Attention whore.
Yeah.
Every night, you're just chasing this feeling.
Yeah, it's so weird. And you can't... Someone asked me today, actually, why do you do stand-up? And I was just like, I don't know. It's just something it's hard to explain to people who don't do it.
Yeah.
There's just this weird feeling that you're like, I enjoyed being the center of attention, getting those laughs and all that type of stuff. I don't know. It's weird. Like, it's just you on stage and you get to lead the dance.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I'm the orchestra of this audience, and let's see how my words if I can make the sound that I want them to make, which is laughter, essentially, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's the only way to explain it is you go, have you ever had heroin before? Your first shot, and then you go hooked. It's pretty much like that.
It is. It's so weird. I think we'll finish there for this part 1, and then we'll do a part 2, and then we'll jump into stand. I know we could literally talk about your childhood for hours.
Yeah, man.
I don't have you. Well, you've got to go pick up your mum today, so from
I
work.
had to pick her up from work. Yeah.
So
and her driver when I'm in Perth,
Yeah.
She's awesome, man. I know that I'm not going to be in Perth a lot of next year, so
yeah,
I'm maximizing. Plus, my mum's nearly 60. She's 59, so you don't know how long you have your parents for. So I try to spend as much time as I can with her, picking her up, dropping her off, hanging out with her at home, or doing some relaxation stuff like taking her for a massage for her birthday, or giving her plenty of hugs and kisses. Oh, my mum hates it, but I'm like, and she laughs a lot when I give her kisses and hugs. So I'm like, and as a comic, you're just like, hey, this person laughs when you do this. Let's maximize this shit. So I just go kisses and hugs. And the other thing as well is she's got a dark sense of humor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, people don't know this about her, and I've recently worked this out, right? Because whenever I say something dark to her, she starts laughing. So the other time she was like, oh, this car, I think something is wrong with it. I think the engine light's it's coming on and the engine's making noise. And I was like, Mum, it's going to be okay. And she goes, oh, really? Why? And I said, because it's not my car. And then she just starts laughing because I had this serious face when I said it. And then I was like, oh, hold on. She really likes this, this dark stuff. So I started giving her more kisses and hugs. And she's like, what's wrong? I said, I think I'm feeling a bit sick. So I'm been giving you a lot of kisses and hugs just so you can get it, And so it leaves me. And she's like, what? Why? And she's so confused. I said, come on, Mum, you're 60. You've done enough time on this earth. I'm still young. She starts laughing even more. And I'm like, oh, my God, I have to go darker with this woman,
That's classic. Alrighty, we will end it there. Thanks for tuning in to episode 43, I think that was. And we'll be back in like 2 seconds because we're doing part 2.
Yeah.